everybody, welcome to the Watch Pals. My name's Chris. This week we watched the 2019 film Hellboy. Before we do that, I want to introduce my best pals, starting with Jordan. Jordan, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Jeff, welcome to the show.
Wait, what did you just say?
He said the greeting hello in English language.
Brian, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on? Hey guys, I sound like that sock from Syphil and Ollie. Chester.
Oh, wow. What a deep cut.
Callbacks, yeah.
Well, thank you guys for being here today.
Yeah.
And this
Got nothing
week,
better to do.
this week we're going to be talking about Hellboy. Before we get into the recap of that, this movie none of us have seen prior to our recent watching, correct?
No.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So I picked this movie because I love Hellboy. I've read a lot of the comics, a lot of his work prior to that was extended universe stuff. Even the recent one, I'm reading his recent Hellboy comic series called Hellboy and a Robot, which is awesome. And basically it's like a Godzilla Hellboy. It's really, really great. But I picked this movie because I really liked the previous movies, which I think were, early 2000s, maybe mid 2000s.
Yeah, didn't Guillermo del Toro do those ones?
Yeah, and that's probably why they're so good.
Yeah.
But also the big thing with those was they were billed as like, this is just a Hellboy story. It's not following the comics at all, for the most part. They really did go in there and mess with the story, and like he kind of did his own like offshoot, which is why people liked it more than this most recent one, which we're going to go over some of the things going on in this movie. But I did read a lot of it. A lot of the kind of backstory of Hellboy and a lot of the comic books. So going into this movie, I heard a lot of the stuff that was said about it in the media and, reviews and everything when it came out. And then, so I didn't watch it because I was like, I don't want people to ruin Hellboy for me. But we watched it, and that's why I picked it, because I wanted to make everybody suffer with me, and I figured it was time to watch it. As a Hellboy fan, I'm not going to say right now if I liked it or not, but I will say that I am a pretty big Hellboy fan. A lot of Mike Mignola's work, so I'm not going to say if I cried or was happy about this. But this leads me to my question that I want to ask you guys before we start. What's like a guilty pleasure movie that you have that maybe was like people don't like, people don't like, but you really like it? Or maybe got terrible reviews, but you're like, I don't want you to say The Greasy Strangler, Brian, but for me, it's a movie called Carpool. We may watch it in the future.
With Tom Arnold.
Yes. I, for some reason, I've watched that movie so many times because we had it on cassette for some reason. And it's just I don't know why it's good. It was a good movie to me. I don't think it was well received in media, or review circles. It didn't win any Emmys or anything like that, but I liked it for some reason.
Isn't that Ramones song? They keep singing that. In the,
they keep playing in the car. Yeah.
It's like they spent all their money on that and licensing
the
that
license
song.
for that.
Want to be sedated, yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to go first? Brian, you want to go first with this one?
Yeah, I'll say it. You could pick any of the Ernest films, but I would say
wow.
Ernest Scared Stupid is one of my favorite Halloween movies. Also, it's probably my favorite Ernest movie. It's
Is
up
it the
there
jail
with
one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say Ernest Goes to Jail is probably the other best of his work.
Oh, so there are two separate ones. Okay, all right.
There's Ernest Saves Christmas, Ernest Goes to Jail, Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Camp.
Ooh, what's he doing at camp?
Slam Dunk Ernest. Ernest goes to Africa. So he's international.
Is there a recent one? Did he redo something recently?
He's dead.
He's dead.
Well, I mean, like within the last 5-10 years.
Ernest goes in the ground.
Ernest goes to hell.
Yeah.
Goes in the ground. Goes in the ground. Instead of getting buried.
Yeah. 2 hours.
I figured there was like a Netflix reboot.
They should never reboot that. Don't ever reboot that.
I don't think they rebooted Ernest anytime recently.
Okay, I don't know if he came back, clawed his way back.
No, they didn't. They didn't try to reboot him.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely those films are some of my
That's a good
pleasures.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you have anything to say about this?
Man, I'm having a hard time thinking of them, but it's probably like a bad horror movie franchise, like The Leprechaun. Maybe that's one of them.
Ooh, those are pretty bad.
But those are they're bad, but they're good.
Yeah,
I don't
bad
know.
and a good. Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure. You enjoy.
Yeah, I guess it is. I guess my favorite movie of all time is Big Trouble in Little China, and I know nowadays maybe it's not considered bad now, but it did flop in the theaters. So like, you know, I don't know.
People are stupid.
Yeah, well, it's a great movie. So I don't know. It's
Just saying.
It's probably like, yeah, Friday the 13th, Freddy, you know, Nightmare on Elm Streets. And I know these are big names, but like if you watch the movies, some of them are just not great, but they're still fun.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, they're known as not like not being great. They're just like slasher films. Like
The first Nightmare on Elm Street's awesome.
Yeah, there's a couple that are fantastic. Actually, my girlfriend and I, Tiffany, just started a tradition last year where we're going to go through all of a horror series. So we did Nightmare on Elm Street last year, and we're doing Friday the 13th this year. So, yeah, I don't know, just like B horror movies, I guess. But is that a guilty pleasure? Plenty of people like B horror films.
Is there a movie you've watched like 100 times? And it's like, I'm like, if you tell me or Brian, we're like, that's dumb. Don't do that.
Is there a movie as a kid that you watched like 100 times?
I did. We talked about this already. It was
Lion King.
Lion King and Fatal Fury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, those aren't really bad per se, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to say I don't like bad things. All right, guys. I just have great taste.
Okay.
This guy sniffs his own farts.
No, I honestly just I didn't have an answer. Sorry.
Jordan, what about you?
I wish I knew about this because there's tons of movies I've seen. I'm like, I really like this. And a lot of times they are not necessarily rom-com kind of stuff, but I know there's definitely some I've thought about and I've tried to like justify to myself why I like them.
Like Ashton Kutcher type of thing, or
no,
like Tiptoes.
You're
See that
welcome.
Nick Cage movie where he's the cop and he like gets the lottery ticket to the waitress? That's a rom.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's a great Nick Cage movies. I do like there's a ton of those that are guilty pleasures.
There's some bad ones out there. Yeah.
What was that string of movies? I think like 10 years ago, there was like New Year's Day and Valentine's Day.
Love Actually. I actually kind of do like that movie.
I like that movie too.
Actually, so this is the first thing that popped in mind. I feel like I would have another pick, but this is the first thing that popped in mind is La La Land.
Okay, I didn't see it, but I know it's the musical.
Barf
I like
City.
that director.
Cool.
I'm not big into musicals, but I really did like it.
Who was in that?
Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone.
Oh my God! Never mind. I'm back on board. Both of them are America's sweetheart,
and they're dancing.
Yeah, the director did Whiplash, which I liked a lot.
Yeah.
But this
great
Love that
movie.
movie.
never seen it.
At first, when I saw the trailer for this, I thought it took place in like the 50s and 60s because it had a very like nostalgic look of Los Angeles, particularly Hollywood. Mm-hmm. But it actually takes place in the modern era. And the first time I watched it, I hated the ending. I hated the ending of it. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie, but like,
Nope.
Okay. Long story short, it doesn't have a very happy ending, depending on how you look at it. But I've watched it multiple times since then, and it's grown on me. So I think that, but it's also considered like a good movie, but it's also a musical, which I don't normally like. So I don't know. It's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, that'd definitely be a guilty pleasure.
It's out of your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to you watching like hardcore pornography or something.
The wall.
Anyway,
So wait. Are you watching me watch this hardcore pornography?
Yeah, through the window.
we live
You're
together.
watching it with them.
We live together.
That's true.
Sit
We did.
next to each other. Be quiet.
So
Don't lose eye contact with me.
just through the window. Okay, so
Put your glasses on.
we're gonna go through the recap of Hellboy.
2019.
A fun little fact before you get started into it, Chris, I read that this was originally supposed to be the sequel to the second one, The Golden Army. Then it got rebooted and they picked a different director. And this director actually did some cool horror movies. He did The Descent. I don't know if you guys ever saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Jordan watched that actually together in college.
Okay, so that's a great horror movie he did. He also did a B-movie classic, some people say, called Dog Soldiers. I don't know if you guys saw that one too, but
Nope.
again, this is what's the guy's name? It's
Neil Marshall.
Yeah, Neil Marshall. Thank you.
Yeah.
So he, I think he helped write this, or at least he helped with the screenplay after the fact. So
Yeah, Brian, what you're saying is like you said, it's supposed to be part of a trilogy. I guess Guillermo del Toro couldn't do it, or like he wasn't asked to do it, and Ron Perlman dropped out. He's like,
yeah,
if he's not doing it, I'm not part of this movie.
right.
So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so going back to the movie itself, I think the big thing that you have to realize is the first two Hellboy movies were not generally connected to the overall Hellboy story. Like, he never fell in love with, they threw like a love story in there and everything. That never happens in the Hellboy comic books.
Right.
So, and I think that was good because those movies are really well done and really interesting on their own. But this movie, the big thing with this movie is, and I'll get into this a little later as we go, I'll kind of point these points out. They put together about 4 or 5 different story arcs, major story arcs in the comic book into one movie.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I can see it.
I could tell.
And I'll point them out because I was noticing them, and I haven't read the books probably about 10 years. And actually I started going back and looking through the newer ones because of this movie. And it's just crazy how they jam so much crap in there that if they wanted to make like a new trilogy, they should have just kept it simple, and they didn't. It's insane. So let's get into this. And we're talking about the 2019 reboot of Hellboy. Hellboy is a long-running series, comic book series by Mike Mignola, and a lot of other writers and artists and stuff are help along the way.
Chris, is he the only one that ever does anything with Hellboy as far as the comics are concerned?
You mean like write it?
Write it, yeah.
Well, he's the creator. I know that.
Yeah, he wrote the first couple, but
okay, I wasn't sure if like he's the only one that ever has any like say in her writing.
I think he's like the final say in a lot of stuff, though. But okay. I think he writes with so many people. Like,
he wasn't happy with the first 2 Hellboy movies.
He wasn't. Yeah. And you know what though? I heard he's super involved in this new one that looks like buttholes, and it's like, what? I mean, I might give it a chance.
One thing that he mentioned that he didn't like was that Perlman was too like humanoid looking, like too like clean looking, and Hellboy and all this drawing, especially because the way he did his art is that he's really dirty and gross looking and like kind of craggy and everything. Mm-hmm. And so like they did in this movie, they made the character which kind of looks, when you see it, you're like, oh, come on, do better makeup. Like, it looks terrible, but I think that's the way he wanted it to be, really like craggy and like gross looking, because he's supposed to be a devil or demon.
Yeah. I never read any of the Hellboy stuff, but I've seen the Mignola's art, and I thought Ron Perlman's character actually looked like this body shape wise and like face wise, like.
Yeah, I remember hearing, like, because I don't want to hold it up too much, but I remember hearing promo before those movies came out. Like, I always had Ron Perlman in mind for, like, this character. Like, if someone was going to play him, I could have swore that he said that, but maybe that was just Del Toro.
I think he's also too old now, because Hellboy's like 35.
He's 74, I think. I just saw.
But, and I think, again, the big thing is, like, with Hellboy's himself is, like, he's drawn to be really gross looking, but.
His art style, though, because my brother-in-law Nick loves Hellboy, if that's not super obvious. He's a super good illustrator and like clearly takes inspiration from him. But like the art uses such harsh like blacks, so like translating that to real life is going to be tough no matter what. So Well,
I think that, again, that was Mike Mignola's, like, he said that he didn't like that about Perlman's character, that the way they did it wasn't true to life. And again, I think it's more of an art out of necessity, where Mignola was writing and doing the art, and he was doing it in a way that's like, I got to write a lot of books here. I got to do something that's generally cool, but also kind of simple and quick. And his art style kind of replicates that. Yeah. But okay, so Hellboy, this release kind of follows, I said, a bunch of different storylines, and the one that we start out with in the opening scene is this kind of called the betrayal of Nimue, who is the Blood Queen, and she's played by Milla Jovovich. The entire movie, I was trying to like, who the hell is that? I couldn't recognize her.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Chris, come on,
Chris.
Man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
it just like evil Chris. Come on,
Chris.
I thought she was the chick from.
She was in Chaplin, Chris. Come on,
Chris. She was in Monster Hunter, Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
She's in Resident Evil movies, Chris.
She was in The Fifth Element.
That's what I was trying to get at with Bruce Willis. Come on now.
Oh yeah, she wasn't that. Okay.
Lilu Dallas, Chris.
I thought she was the lady from Asteroid.
Asteroid.
Bruce Willis is like daughter in Asteroid.
Armageddon. Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler. The video game.
Yeah.
Asteroid, the video
Bruce
game.
Willis in a rotating spaceship shooting the
Yeah. I'd watch it.
Deep Impact. Yeah. Anyway.
Armageddon.
Morgan Freeman.
Armageddon.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. I thought it was Morgan Freeman. No, so that's Milla Jovovich. She's the sorceress. She's the queen of witches, and It's 517 AD. This takes place, and this is part of the Hellboy lore. She kind of has this kind of army of undead and like the goblins, the creatures. That's the one thing I like about Hellboy and his writing styles. He takes a lot of historical folklore and type of stuff and jams it into a story. And he kind of goes back into the Nazis and kind of like that gothic horror, and he uses that as part of his storylines.
There's a lot of Slavic folklore too, doesn't he?
Yeah, yes. And especially the first book is really based on that. But this Nimue storyline that has the Blood Witch, and it kind of has this army of the goblins and everything that are kind of like going to take over the earth. In comes Merlin and King Arthur of that lore, and he uses Excalibur to kill her, the one thing that can kill her, and he cuts her up into all these parts, and he packages them up in individual boxes that sealed with like some kind of spell, and he puts them all over England.
Well, wait. He doesn't kill her because she can't die.
He cuts her up.
Right, he just cuts her up. Yeah,
she's still like talking as her head's getting put in the chest, which is funny.
Her in the
Do
face.
they say that she can actually die, or
No, she cannot die.
Do they say that though?
I'm pretty sure they say that whenever they cut her up, that she can't die, but she can be hurt.
The fact that she's still talking in the box.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, what if you just cut her in the brain? Like, what about that kind of thing?
What if you cut the brain in half?
What if you like? Hear me out. What if someone like ate her? Like, could she survive that?
Yeah, she's just like talking in your stomach.
Would she just like come out as poop and then turn back into like a person, or
Mr. Hanky?
I'm just spitballing.
Here's a true story though. So all the enemies in Hellboy are part of the big bad, which is Agra Dru Jihad. I'm saying that wrong, and but that's like the overall like.
Careful, Chris. Careful.
It's Agra Dru Jihad. Jahad.
What?
Jihad. Anyway, that's like the big bad in all of these, and so he's like a lot of the monsters are him controlling these things. She is a kind of a spirit, so she can actually. I think in the books, she transfers between people. So you could eat her, but she would just take your body.
He's like the Thanos of this universe,
yes.
you could say.
Is that supposed to be the guy?
He's not in the movie. They don't even mention him.
Right, they don't reference him. Right.
No. But is that supposed to be the guy at the end of the movie? Baba Yaga's talking to?
Nope. That's Kalshi the Immortal, which is based on like a real mystery.
Yeah. Another Slavic Russian thing, yeah.
Yeah. So he's a Russian guy. He's the Immortal. He can't be killed. The way he works is he hides his soul somewhere.
In parts. Different like parts.
So you can't find his soul. Yeah. All right. So King Arthur uses Excalibur, cuts her up. They put a spell on the boxes. She's in separate parts. So like her body's one spot, arms, legs. They all get separated, sent around England. We then go to a scene. The next scene is Hellboy in Tijuana looking for another member of the BPRD. And the BPRD is this kind of like almost the Men in Black, but not really. It's like an ancient society. In this movie, they're treated as the Men in Black. It's like real militaristic and like stuff like that, but they're really not like that in the stories. But anyway, in the case of this movie, the BPRD is like this Men in Black type thing that goes around and kills, keeps like the goblins and night creatures at bay.
They're the paranormal cops.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we have to watch that one movie one time. What's the
R.I.P.D.
Yes.
No.
Basically, Men in Black, but yeah.
Yeah, we gotta watch that. That looks terrible.
It was fine. I didn't think it was bad as everyone said it was.
R.I.P.D.?
Yeah.
Was there a second one?
No.
I think they're like maybe like direct to video. There might.
Oh, nice.
R.I.P.D.D.
Double D's.
Double D's.
Okay, so here's another point. Hellboy goes to Mexico. He's in Mexico looking for a agent from the BPRD that kind of went off the rails. He kind of went missing. He went to fight a vampire collective down in Mexico. And this is part of the Hellboy in Mexico storyline, which is a different storyline from the Nimue storyline, or the Nimue storyline is actually part of called it's called Storm and the Fury. That's the Nimue storyline. So there's like 5 or 6 storylines going on at the same time. Anyway, Hellboy, who is David Harbour.
Which I think if you're going to cast someone like, and you can't get Ron Perlman, he's the next bet. Like, he was great, I thought.
He had the voice, he had the look.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That was the one thing I was like, oh, he's gonna suck. That's why people hate this movie. And no, I thought he was great.
Yeah.
So he is looking for his friend who is Esteban Ruiz.
Ruiz.
Yeah, thank you. That's what it is. He's gone missing during a mission. He is found at a luchador wrestling match.
Libre,
yeah, Lucha Libre. And so he starts to fight Hellboy. Hellboy's just like, hey, man, I'm just here to get you. And so he's like, no, come and fight me. And they start wrestling. Esteban turns into a vampire.
Yeah, you find out he was there trying to get Yeah, he was there trying to beat the vampires, and they got him, clearly.
Correct.
Right.
And again, that's part of the Hellboy Mexico storyline, which is generally really good. But it brings in a whole other big bad guy that they go on for many. It's really a good series. So he's an agent of part of the BPRD, which has other people in it. We'll go into his origin story. They do talk about that. But his general role in this point in the movie, all you know is he's going down here trying to find his friend in Mexico. So they start fighting. He kills his friend by throwing him onto a
ring post.
Yeah, after he turned into a vampire and was flying around.
And he accidentally killed him.
And like when we say vampire, it's more like a vampire bat than like
not a Batman, but a bat-like man.
A man bat.
Yes.
Yeah, like a cool vampire, not like, Twilight vampire.
Right.
Sparkly.
Although some vampires, like what's it called? Interview with the Vampire, they were pretty cool. And they were still
those are just sexy vampires.
Chris never saw that movie.
Never seen it.
What?
We just had this discussion.
You know what? I hadn't seen it until I think this past year because both Tiffany and I were like, we never saw it. We should watch it. And then we did. And I was like, it's actually pretty good.
Apparently the show's supposed to be really good too.
Oh.
Nah, I'm good.
It's surprisingly, it's much different than you think. At least that's what it was for me. That's for sure.
Okay, so Hellboy kills his friend. And
anyways,
he kind of Anyways, that sounds terrible. So Hellboy kills his friend by accident, gets really upset about it, gets drunk. The BPRD comes down to Mexico and gets him and be like, hey, man, you need to return. We need to bring you back. And he's like, no way. And we got to bring you back to headquarters. He's like, no way, I'm not coming back. And he has this kind of existential kind of confusion or what's it called, like struggle going on about, killing his friend, but also he was a monster. So what the hell is he doing with his life? Cut to BPRD headquarters, which stands for the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense, which is in Colorado, USA.
Specific.
He is greeted.
Pacific time.
Hellboy arrives at the BPRD headquarters. He's greeted by his adoptive father, Professor Trevor Bruttenholm. Or Broomholm, I think.
I love this actor, by the way, man. He's great.
Yeah, from Deadwood.
He's so good.
Ian McShane.
Deadwood. John Wick movies.
Love John Wick movies.
Gods and Monsters. What was the...
American Horror Story?
Yeah.
He's a creepy man. That's a series.
He's in that Andy Samberg movie, too. Hot Rod.
Oh, yeah.
He's like his dad or something?
He's his father. That he always beats
they always fight. Yeah. Yeah, this guy rules.
Mm-hmm. So he's his dad. You don't find out like how he's actually his dad. You're like, what the hell does that even, like, how is that possible? But anyway, he's his adoptive dad. And you'll find out later what actually went on. And that's what one thing about the Hellboy movies is when they reboot it, they always have to do like, here's what Hellboy is. They always have to have that like, 20 minutes of a movie dedicated to like where he came from.
The origin story, yeah.
Yeah, it's like Spider-Man. Every time they tell a Spider-Man story, it's to say where he came from.
Same with Batman, yeah.
Yeah.
Some kid falling into a cave. Parents getting shot.
Some nerd.
Yeah.
Boo-hoo.
But I'm a billionaire.
What am I going to do with all this money?
I'll buy happiness.
So they do this thing in this movie where they have Hellboy kind of like questioning his role and kind of questioning his entire focus of like purpose being a weapon for this BPRD. He comes back. He says, his dad's like, hey, we're sending you... England has a problem with giants, and we're sending you to England to help with this issue. And this is what comes in the Osiris Club.
Well, so we were saying with sorry to cut you off there. We were saying with Hellboy is like he's conflicted because he's not human. It's like kind of like where does he belong in this world kind of thing. He's not human, but he also is working for his dad. He's defending
the humans, but
he's defending humans. is not human.
And he's killing his, like, which is Nimue brings up, they're killing his own kind.
Yeah.
You know,
there's that conflict, internal conflict.
The dark creatures, right. And so he goes, so this, again, we're cutting to him going, just lands in Colorado. I don't understand why they even paid the money to have this whole, like, big entrance of him landing in a helicopter. Like, that's just, don't waste that money. Just have it, like, if you're going to just throw him here to here, why are you even doing that? Just have him call him on the phone. Because it's just like, here's, like, you know, a 10-minute exposition or 5-minute exposition where you don't even really learn about his father and his relationship very well. They don't build on it.
I just want to say about this film so far, the way it progresses and the way that you've referenced some of the comics, like the stories they references, there's like 5 or 6 going on at once, right?
Yes.
So this, I just want to say this film it feels that way. There's very specific characters and specific backstories that they call later to. Like for example, just to give you an example, he runs into a character later. They know each other by like, oh, I haven't seen you since you were a kid, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you don't find out who that character is until like 15, 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
Right.
That drove me nuts.
I feel like when I was watching this with my girlfriend, she was like, what the hell is happening? And it's like she had never seen any of them. So like, I feel like this movie right out of the gate, like, just expects you to know a good amount about Hellboy before you even see it.
If you're a fan, this movie is for you.
I don't know, because they go into his origin story. They put up a lot of stuff in the front, and then they expect you to wait till the end or like later to figure it out.
Yeah, it was weird how. I mean, I get it. I get some of that. So, but it was just interesting. Like, what is going on? It was just so all over the place.
It's exactly that's just the point. It's like that maybe the first 2 films the pacing was like that because they were. You know, you had to like build that kind of pacing for a film.
And also establishing characters, and you had time to like
different
flesh
acts
it out.
And everything like that. Yeah. Whereas here, it's like, yeah, it's referencing. It's very true. I'm assuming to the material of the comics, at least like characters and like some details. But it jumps from those stories back and forth so much that he's going to hunt giants out of nowhere with this group, and then they just start making all these references, and I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
That they do change the nature of some of the relationships. Like the thing with Nimue, as we'll talk about later. I'll bring that up later. Actually, I don't want to bring it up now because it gives away too much. But they do this with Abe Sapien in the other movie. They treat him as like some very like precious thing that can't be hurt. That can't like he can't be. He's so precious and he can't be hurt. But like in the comics, he's like fighting things and running around like crazy. They have entire comic books where they, like just generally his story.
You're saying that in the first 2 movies he was more of like the CSI of the paranormal division. He was investigating.
How much do you think that decision was made based on the fact that it's probably impossible for that guy to move around in that suit?
Yeah, right. Doug, I forget his last name, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. And also they're like, well, he used to be in water and whatever.
Yeah.
So I understand that. And they in the comic books they do that by just having he wears a suit that like, you know, has water in it, so it's easier to draw that as opposed to act. But this jumps to the Osiris Club in England, and it's in their mansion in London. And this is also another storyline called the Wild Hunt storyline, which they're using that storyline to get him to England for this entire Nimue setup storyline. Which is separate.
This gets them over to the pond.
Correct.
Sets up the rest of the stories.
Right. Okay. The Wild Hunt is another offshoot storyline, story arc, which is really good.
Witcher 3.
But somebody was going to say, yeah.
Yes, it is a good storyline on its own. But again, it's just like, hey, here's another storyline. So if you're actually a fan of Hellboy, you're like, just like, too much is going on. You're like getting thrown in 10 different directions. Because if they did a Wild Hunt storyline, just that movie, it would have been awesome. If they would just do, you know, they should have just kept this to the story, the Storm and the Fury storylines. It would have been great.
So Chris, it seems like with the new one, they're focusing on one linear story.
The Crooked Man, correct? Yes.
So are you hopeful for that?
I don't. I mean, obviously, I don't think so.
It just doesn't look good. Like,
I mean, look, visually. Yeah, he's just being honest. Yeah,
it could be the best acted thing in the world, but at the end of the day, Hellboy is like a devil basically, and he's got to look cool and be a comic book guy too. So it seems like they're almost taking it too far into realism on the newest one, which might be a budget thing, but
but that's also a really small story that they're telling in a very specific location in the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay,
like in West Virginia. So that like Crooked Man storyline is
That
just like very
cool.
small. Yeah, that's
I
why
like
I thought
the
maybe
idea
it
of
might be good, but
his horns in this movie look better, I think, or the shaved down horns look better than the first two movies. Because in the first two movies, I'm just saying they look
They're
like two
stumps.
like candy nubs. Yeah, they just don't. It doesn't look right. But here, there's actual like detail. You can see like he like cut the horn down and things like that. So,
I think visually a lot of the special effects are amazing in this.
I was gonna say that too.
yes.
The giant fight coming up in a little bit, but yeah, the visual effects in this movie and the gore were awesome.
yeah, if they would just straighten out pace the story a little better.
They would have just cleaned up the writing. It would have been
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So again, we're jumping to the Osiris Club. Osiris Club is in London, and they're part of this kind of group there's other groups like Osiris Club that are kind of like the BPRD of England. So this is just another group in England that kind of fights the dark, monsters. And specifically, this is about these giants, like going back to folklore of giants, that kind of just wake up every once in a while and they like, go kill some people.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. I think the cool thing about this entire world, though, they just like Hellboy just walks around because he's well known. They don't hide him.
Yeah, he's in the public a lot. Like, they hit him in the first two, in the first movie especially, but
They make comments about him, like, trying to hide him, but, like, he's still very much out in the open, in this one at least.
right.
And I think for the most part in this movie, they're trying to say like, hey, these monsters, these evil things that are around, like people kind of know of them. So it's kind of like just part of the real world, but it's like another little weird thing they throw in there, which is good because I don't want to just, when you're writing a movie, you don't want to have to like hide the character all the time. Because he's just walking on the street in the middle of the day, which is, part of the story. So the Osiris Club is a group kind of like you think about when you think of a thing called the Osiris Club in like a mansion in England, all these like guys in like wearing ties and dressed up real nice or kind of sitting around drinking brandy and stuff like that. At this time, he meets Lady Hatton, who's a seer, and she knows of Hellboy's dark fate. She was there when he was found. The whole point of the Osiris Club is they're kind of protecting the world and in England from dark things, especially supernatural things that the seer kind of sees these things happening and kind of warns them. It's kind of what you would think a seer would be. They really
Visionary.
don't go. Yeah, but they don't really go into her character very well.
No, and that goes into the characters. Like, was she a character in the comic?
Yes.
So that again, they like throw her in real quick. It's like, oh, you're supposed to know.
This whole plot point thing, like, oh, we have to get him to England. He's going to hunt giants. Like, oh, by the way, we're here. You're only here because we're going to do this thing to you. Like, it's like, what? Like, just seemed like that. Like Chris, you said, yeah. That like Chris, you said, that could have been a story in itself. That whole part, this whole part could have been a story itself.
This entire thing could have been one of the movies they make. Just a simple. He goes to England, gets and everything that happens to him, which we'll go into. But again, it's just like you didn't need this whole thing.
No,
they could just send him to England to help fight Nimue.
Right.
They just wanted to use cool tech to show a good fight with giants. I guess I don't really
that,
know.
or maybe shows past. But like I don't know.
Yeah, because they do so that so they show at this point that the seer, Lady Hatton, was there when Hellboy was found, and it goes back. Is this when they do the?
It's like 1940s.
Yeah, you see like Rasputin,
a superhero too. Yeah,
Lobster Claw.
Lobster Johnson, baby.
Lobster Johnson is
awesome.
Again an entire story arc itself. Awesome storyline of the superhero they have. But anyway, so it goes back to the 1940s when with Hitler and the Nazis, basically the historical person Rasputin in European and Russian folklore or Russian
in the first
history.
movie too.
Yeah, they were trying to figure out a way to make a weapon so the Nazis could win the war. And obviously, the Allies show up. One of them being Lobster Johnson, who was not at the original founding. There's another storyline.
I like this actor, though. This actor's great.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Thomas Haden Church.
Sandman.
Yep.
Oh, that guy.
From Sideways and Wings.
Yeah. He's a pilot. He's a mechanic in Wings. Yeah.
I thought it was that wrestler.
And John Cena?
Yeah, I thought it was John Cena.
No, that's what show is he on? Yeah, Peacemaker.
Yeah, it's you got to play Sandman in the Spider-Man movies.
That's right.
New ones.
with his striped shirt.
Can we talk about Lobster Johnson again real quick? Because he had such a cool line when he pulled up his hand, and it was like he has like a glowing lobster thing on it, and it like burns it into people's heads, and he's like, so the devil knows who sent you or whatever. It was like such a good line. I forget exactly what it was.
More bad Captain America.
Yeah.
Like that 40s serials, like adventure kind of like superhero, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so he's basically Captain America, England Captain America from what I remember.
Captain England.
But like he's there for fighting the Nazis.
Right.
Yeah.
And he has a whole storyline by himself. He has his own comic books, Lobster Johnson comic books.
A great name.
Chris, do you think this is the first time, like, was Hellboy, do you think the first time where, at least in a comic book form, that you see the Nazis dealing with the occult kind of stuff?
I don't know. Was it a Marvel thing?
Comic books?
Yeah.
I think they were doing that with Captain America, weren't they?
Yeah, but I don't know if that was would have been
Red
before or
Skull
after.
and
That's
But I don't know if that would have been before or after this though.
It's not that old.
Within,
no,
I mean,
it's the 90s. It came out
Hellboy was in the
96.
90s, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying, I don't know if Marvel started doing stuff like that with Red Skull and all that. Because it's definitely become a very popular
If you're in the
thing.
comments, tell us.
Well, I think that also like it's like zombies. Like you got to have something to kill. Nazis are a good enemy that most people hate.
They're evil.
I got it. The Nazis have been featured in comics since the 1940s when superheroes like Superman and Captain America fought Hitler in comic books.
Yeah, Superman was definitely decking Hitler.
I'm talking about the occult side of the Nazis, though.
Oh, like the dark side, like the
the occult, like this kind of stuff. I'm wondering if Hellboy is the first one to start doing that.
I don't know if it was these guys that started it, but I'm sure there's so much out there now that it's probably even hard to track down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a popular thing now. I was curious to see if like Hellboy might have pioneered that side of it.
Again, the one thing that in the storybook or in the graphic novels, Rasputin and the Nazis aren't even there whenever Hellboy is born, quote, born. They're like in a different area. They're like in a different location. And Rasputin basically says like, he basically does a spell and he's like, oh, I just changed the course of history. Don't worry about it. And the Nazis like, what the hell? You're supposed to be helping us. And so it's something like that. But in the movie, Lobster Johnson shows up, just starts killing all the Nazis. The big thing here you learn here is that, and it's kind of repeated throughout the movie, is Lady Hatton, the seer who's blind, says that there's an ancient prophecy is one that's to bring about the apocalypse, and Hellboy is linked to that. And that's why the Cyrus Club doesn't like him.
They always call back to that in the movies too. They always say like he is the demon of the apocalypse. He was supposed to be.
Every time someone meets them, they're like, "You're this guy. You're the demon of the apocalypse."
I don't like you.
Yeah. It's like, geez, all right.
It's just a hidden message, guys. Just don't judge a book by its cover.
Okay, so now we cut to the like a monastery, and it's like these monks that are this is kind of a quick thing, but it's important to the story. There's monks that can't speak.
Vow of silence.
Yes, and so this guy named Grugark. How do you say his name? I always get
it's Rocksteady from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Again, they changed his name because in the comic books his name's Grom. Grom actually eats Grugark and becomes Grom. So there's a boar guy, a monster who's a boar. He breaks in. He basically kills these monks.
This was awesome.
They can't speak. They vow of silence. So he kills all of them except for one. He's like, hey, they go down to the crypt. They get the box with Nimue in it, part of Nimue in it. And the guy won't speak to like do the spell to open the box. And it has to be done by someone who the spell's like it has to do by someone
of holy like origin or someone that knows like a holy speak like the ancient.
Well, it was iron. That's why you couldn't touch it.
Yeah. They hate iron.
I thought the voice actor was Idris Elba for a second for this guy.
You know, I was going to say the voice actor was a UK guy and he was awesome. So I looked him up and it was, I know the guy, but he was in Gangs of New York. He was in he was also in
There Will Be Blood.
Was he in There Will Be Blood?
I don't know. I've never seen it. I was thinking of Daniel Day-Lewis.
Daniel Lewis movies.
Anyway, Grom. I'm going to say Grom. How about that? That's who he actually is. Grom he takes the tongue out of the monk and puts it in his mouth.
Jaw off, yeah.
And then basically speaks in his tongue.
That was
I thought
cool.
he ate it. Did he eat it?
That was cool.
I don't know, but either way.
The guy was like, his voice was crying too when it was coming out, speaking the words. That was a nice touch.
Yeah. So he says the spell, opens the box. I think her head's in this one. Was that her head?
Yeah, her head's there. It's Milla Jovovich. She's back.
Again, Nimue from the opening scene of the movie. Jump back to Osiris Club's ramping up to go fight these giants, and they use, instead of using guns, which is really weird, they use spears that are electric.
Yeah, spears with Ghostbuster proton packs, basically.
And so they go out on this hunt on horses too. It's like, and even Hellboy says, like, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you use, like, use cars and guns? It doesn't make any sense. And they're like, oh, tradition. We got to do it traditional ways.
Yeah, and that leader has a big dumb elk head on his.
Yeah. Like, you want to wear it? No.
Yeah. Hellboy gets offered to dress up like them, and he says no.
Hellboy also saw his poppy with them in an old picture.
In a photo.
Yes. So his adoptive dad, was there whenever he was found with the Nazis.
So wait, why didn't they age? Did they say that?
No, they didn't have the budget.
Yeah. Didn't have the budget to think about it.
His dad would have been dead. All these guys would have been dead.
I think they did say something. There was a line in there about them not aging right.
Okay.
I think they just
photoshopped that image. It's fake aging, Jordan.
Okay.
No, they did mention something like they age slower than other people because of something.
We're rich.
Yeah, right, money.
We're rich. We're rich. That's West.
How are you still so young? Isn't it obvious we're rich?
Yes.
These guys are friends with Hellboy's adoptive dad. They go out to fight these giants, but then the Osiris Club kind of attacks Hellboy and hurts him, fights him. He kills some of them. They're trying to basically kill him because they're like, you're gonna bring about the apocalypse. We have to kill you because it's part of our code. And so while this is going on, there's still 3 giants out there. So he fights off some of them, gets knocked out. As he gets knocked out, you see like a hand come down and like basically kill the entire group of humans. And then Hellboy wakes up in a river, and he is greeted by these 3 giants. And again, this scene's really good. It's really well like put together action wise. He fights off these 3 giants. They're eating like the humans. They eat humans.
Yeah.
And they basically fight him. He kills all 3 of them. And then he passes out. He wakes up in a a house. Young lady is cooking him breakfast. But she basically is there to help him. She brought him back to her apartment. Like, I don't know how she found out he was there, though. Oh, psychic stuff.
Oh, yeah. And
it's another throwaway thing where, like, I have psychic abilities and I know you from our past together. It's like, what?
Yeah, they start doing like a Lewis Carroll poem, like speaking to each other. I'm like, I guess they know each other then. Like, they're just reciting poems to each other.
And she's like she's very important to like this overall story, because if she wasn't there, the story wouldn't have an ending.
Well, it wouldn't have been a very good ending.
Well, but I mean, I guess, okay. So, but she like kind of all like the holes in the plot, she kind of fills them in with like, hey, I can talk to ghosts. Here we go. And a kind of easy way of getting through the storyline.
Yeah, puking up ghosts.
But anyway, she's able to speak to ghosts. Anybody that's dead, these spirits come and talk to her. And this is part of the corpse storyline, which has Alice in it. She is a medium. She's allowed to communicate with the dead. And she becomes very important to this entire story.
She also says like he's supposed to bring about the apocalypse, doesn't she? Does she like point a gun at him or something like that?
I think so.
She's like a sawed off underneath the table or something like that.
Oh yeah, she's pointing angel bones.
Angel bones.
And we go back to Grom, the boar guy, who is in his lair with Nimue. Basically, Nimue is watching TV. He's kind of getting her parts for her. He got her arm, her legs, like her head, her body, and he's kind of piecing her back together slowly. She's watching like TV and being like, "These people suck."
Yeah, like a reality TV joke there or something.
Yeah. And you kind of get a little bit about why she wants to take over the world again, because she wants to allow the monsters to kind of take over and live.
She's like, "Yes, Screwcock, you and I will rule together, but I will rule mostly," or something like that. He's like, "I'll just I want to be human. Is that all right?
So you find out, though, the story of Grom and what his backstory is that...
This was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And you find out this also links to Alice. So fairies in the, again, folklore type of thing, they steal children. They replace them with changelings. This family, I think it was a Scottish family maybe. Their baby is like, obviously they're like, hey, my baby's changed. We don't know what happened. They call Hellboy. Hellboy shows up. He's like, oh yeah, it's definitely a changeling.
And I love that it's 1993, so he's wearing a beanie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He's just pushing iron into this baby's face.
He's grunge.
Yeah, so he grabs a piece of iron, like an iron horseshoe, and Grom is allergic to it or doesn't like it. And so then he kind of like wiggles out and turns into this like small boar and then runs up a chimney. And at the same time, you're learning like, you're finding out like this is why Grom hates Hellboy and is participating in this whole situation, because Nimue promised him that if he pieces her back together, she will turn him into a human again, because he was a human, a changeling, and the fairies gave him a body in the baby. They bring the baby back, and she now has psychic powers from that time she spent with the fairies.
What do they do with the baby, though? That's what I was thinking. Like, obviously, like they wanted to steal the baby, but it's like if she gained these psychic powers.
I think I think in the story, in the book, they actually eat them. They eat them.
Okay.
I think is how it goes. And then the fairies get to become humans.
Oh, okay. They could enter the human world.
Again,
whatever.
it's been a while, but I think that's what happened. Again, another storyline with Alice.
Who's making up? I'm just kidding.
See, at this point, you're like, there's so many different things
There's
going
so many
on.
details, exactly. There's
like just
so many
jumping around
turns.
so much, because then
There's way too much, yeah.
Then Grom and Nimue mentioned something about Baba Yaga, who's another entire storyline.
Yeah, like, are you talking about John Wick? What's going on?
There's actually like, it's really interesting story about the Baba Yaga, and like, I don't know if it's called Rika, I think, is like the story about this, like that the bird she lives in. We'll get into that, but I think that's like an actual folklore thing from Slavic tradition, I believe.
Yeah.
Where are we at here? So they cut back to the kitchen with Alice and Hellboy. They're eating, and then she's like, oh, hey, get down. And then all these SWAT guys come in, and we meet the third main kind of part of the group. His name is Major Ben Daimio?
Or Daimio.
Daimio, I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Was this guy in the comics? Like his whole backstory? That's definitely seemed like
he had to have been, right?
This seems like another plot point that was kind of like thrown in there.
Yeah, yes, he is in the comics. I don't remember the story arc is his. And I don't even think he actually gets involved with Hellboy. I can't remember the whole storyline. I think he's like an enemy of Hellboy eventually, but
he has a very prominent scar on his face.
Correct. So this whole raid happens. They came to get Hellboy to fight against... why did they come? I can't remember now. Crap.
That's why. Because there's so many god turns in this movie.
They were tracking him because of what happened with the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. Up. Sorry. They were tracking him because of what happened to the Giants. They were like, well, we were looking for you. The BPRD is now in London. They sent us to get you. Daimio is kind of mean to everybody.
He's cocky.
Yeah, but he's also kind of like, he doesn't like Hellboy. Hellboy again walks through the daytime streets with Alice. They're walking through the streets, going to the BPRD meeting place in London, which is in like a store, and that old lady's like, let me see ID.
Fish and chips.
I like that. It was cool. Yeah, little storefront.
Which they only use twice. They get in an elevator, go down under the streets of London. They're in a meeting room where you find Broomholm again, and they kind of argue back and forth. Hellboy's, let's just go kill this person. Let's go find him and kill him. And he's like, no, we got to do research. Hellboy gets mad and walks off. And at this point, I'm starting to like get like, oh God, I'm starting to not really pay attention to some details, because it's, again, so much. Now he walks off. So we're so many scene changes.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like? I hate when they keep going back to like the home base. It's like, I just don't care. Just keep the plot moving.
Right. But whenever he leaves, he gets sucked into Baba Yaga's...
Yeah, the elevator.
Yeah, he gets sucked into another universe, or another parallel universe, where you meet Baba Yaga and her big bird house, which is a different universe, parallel universe type of thing.
Wasn't she banished there by him or something like that?
So this is part of the chained coffin storyline, another story arc, huge thing. She basically, the reason why she's always concentrating on her eye. So throughout this entire meeting between these two, there's obviously history, and he
knocked out her eye, right? Or
he shot out her eye with his gun, and she's mad about it, and she wants it back.
Could you imagine if like that was a storyline, right? That whole thing with their past.
Sure.
And then the next movie comes out and she shows up again in the next movie. This scene is in the next movie. Like how cool that would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
They did like another
this entire thing was a story arc.
Yeah.
And they didn't use, they just like they use it, but they don't actually use it.
This part I think was my favorite part of the whole movie when he was talking to Baba Yaga, because it was like interesting. She looked cool as hell. It was
Guillermo del
creepy.
Toro kind of vibes to it.
It was like the way she even just like came out of like her pot or whatever the hell that was.
Rolling around and everything. Yeah. It was cool.
It was kind of loosely, described during the Nimue scene, but you find out that like Baba Yaga was helping Grom and Nimue because she also doesn't like Hellboy because he banished her and shot her in the eye and basically he has to kiss her at some point too.
Yeah, he's like, "Why's your tongue hairy?" I think he said. It's a pretty funny scene.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the comedy scenes that are kind of funny scenes in the movie where he's trying to get information out of her and figure out what was going on, where Nimue is. He confronts her and basically she kind of is like, "Hey, have dinner with me," and then basically makes out with him and she's like, "Kiss me and I'll tell you."
Yeah, he also finds out she's eating kids.
Yeah,
Yes.
he tries to serve her. Yeah, and then she wants him to basically give his eye to her before, she'll tell him what he
He had
wants.
to trade his eye and then he has to kiss her to get the information he wants. Which he kisses her, but he doesn't give her his eye. He's like, "I didn't tell you when I'd give your eye." So that makes her mad. She starts attacking him, and then the house kind of spits him out.
Clever, he got her.
Didn't she put a curse on him?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
She was just mad. She was just like, "Ow,
Curse you.
ow, yeah,
Curse you in your two eyes.
curse you and your semantics, tricking me."
Whenever he comes back, he falls through the roof of the BPRD meeting room and right through Churchill's desk, which is where his dad was working. And then they go off. I think they mentioned something about the Osiris Club, and they head back there. This time with Alice and Damio in tow. You also find out there's like kind of these little points in the movie where Damio is like he's stabbing himself with his pen.
Yeah, the green goop.
Yeah, he's kind of giving himself injections.
They show that. Is there a throwback scene with that right around now, where it shows his past?
And in the helicopter ride to the Osiris Club's house,
Yeah.
he talks about, they're like, "What is your deal? What's that thing on your face? Why do you have a scar?" And he kind of talks about it's not even really well explained because he's just like, "Hey, we were down in Guatemala in the jungle, and my entire team got killed except for me." And there's kind of this vision of like this like panther or leopard going after them.
Jaguar.
Yeah, jaguar. Thank you.
No, actually, I don't know.
And I think he is.
It was a demonic jaguar.
But very, very clearly, like, oh, he has it. He's this thing now because he keeps injecting himself with.
Yeah, they're kind of
stuff
playing that
afterwards.
up a little bit. Not really well.
I didn't really like this character.
It could have been cool, but yeah.
There wasn't enough friction there for that. Like, not enough history for them to actually have friction, when
Right.
they rode at.
Yeah, he just seemed like a thrown in like B-movie action star. Like it just was weird.
Or that they need another guy that can, like, fight. Like, monster
Right, like
type
on
guy.
the team, I know.
But he
But
didn't do anything when it came down
they
to
had
it.
the cool guy from the second one with the steam head or whatever. He was awesome.
Steamhead, the robot guy.
Yeah, he was sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Voiced
Golden
by the
Army
guy
guys?
he was voiced by the guy from Family Guy.
Okay. I don't remember that.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Hellboy
Brian.
fan.
Whatever you say,
All right.
dog.
All right, Brian.
Where you at, man?
Anyway, we get to the Osiris Club. Everybody's been killed. They go inside. Grom had come through and like killed everybody. And this is where you get this like Alice has like this psychic breakdown where there's all this like pain and torture going on, and she kind of has these like splitting headaches. There's screams going on in her head. Again, doesn't really allude to anything really other than the seers there, but it kind of gives you a view of Hellboy's past, like his origin. So Rasputin goes back to that scene with Lobster Johnson, Rasputin, and Nazis. Lobster Johnson comes in, kills everybody. Hellboy is the part of the explosion. He kind of basically is teleported to our world, and he's just a little baby though. And so Broomholm, his adoptive father, basically sees him, and they're like, let's kill him. And they're like, no, he's a kid, let's take him. And so he takes him and raises him as a kid. And that's why the Osiris Club hates them, or like is angry, because they're like, no, he's supposed to bring about the apocalypse, but we're taking him home. We're supposed to be brought here to kill him. And that's where Hellboy comes from. Another origin story, again, told of where he comes from. You do get another even more deeper dive later in the movie of where he actually is, who his parents are too, which was really poorly explained.
It's just like, oh, here it is. Okay.
Yeah, they're just like throwing you curveballs the entire movie.
Yeah.
It's just genuinely too many things were happening. Like,
I wonder, like, well, obviously this, and I know we're like halfway into it or whatever, but like, I wonder if this movie was, I mean, it's a reboot after those two movies, after Perlman dropped out and Del Toro dropped out, right? But do you think that they put like a best of in the story, like they just threw all like the pieces in to try to make it like this big, awesome Hellboy movie?
I think they were trying to make a universe like a Marvel style.
Yeah.
But
you gotta take it slower, man. That's Marvel did it so slow. Like,
yes.
Like, we gotta rush this out, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless they knew at some point, like, oh man, we're not gonna get funding. We just gotta jam all this crap in there.
That's just it. Like, I mean, I was just looking up, this movie's budget was $50 million, so it's like,
that doesn't seem very much.
Well, considering like this probably wasn't even going to be made for a certain period of time, so
it still seems like they could just edit it way better or something. But then maybe they'd have been like with like an hour of film, maybe, I don't know, shot footage. Right. I don't know. Anyway, at the same time, he gets kind of this vision of like him leading, him being like being that thing that he's being told that he is, the coming apocalypse. He is the apocalypse, whatever. But you find out that Grom came in, got the last part, I think her arm, and then kind of puts Nimue back together, and she is now wreaking havoc on England, and her whole thing is a plague that basically kills humans instantly, like a horrible plague. Again, kind of goes back to the idea of the Black Death. She's part of that in the Hellboy storyline. She's going to kill all humans and basically run the world with her monsters.
Which is weird, because like when at the beginning of the movie, when Arthur first kills her, like, or beheads her, you just see all these monsters on this mountain run away. Like, where do they go?
They run away a lot.
Yeah.
They hide in plain sight.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It's like they're always around. They're just like hidden in nighttime.
Like kind of like garbage cans, or like what?
They're just ducking
in the shadows.
They can't hide. Like they don't look human though. So that's the thing. Like you can't hide.
That's what the BPRD is doing. They're going around finding these things and killing them. It's part of like their entire role was like, oh, this monster there was a group of vampires down in Mexico. Go kill them, and then there's this other group over. Again, it doesn't explain their entire purpose well enough.
Right.
So Nimue is wreaking havoc. The thing I keep on trying to remember in my head is how they got the information to go to Merlin. How did they get sent to see Merlin? Oh, Nimue stabs Alice in the neck, right?
Yeah, and then the sister tells them.
The sister tells them where to go.
The last living blood queen sister.
So Nimue goes back to this tree on top of the hill. That's right. They take a helicopter from the cathedral.
The directions she gives them is so funny. First, you must traverse this, and then blah blah blah. Like, you just know this off the top of your head. Like, it's so like. I'm
going to tell you all this before I perish.
Yeah.
They jump in a helicopter from the Osiris Club after they get the last part, and they go to the tree where, because I think that's right. Alice gets information from the seer. She kind of does the throat ghost thing out of her throat, where the
throat ghost,
pukey visions. Throat ghost me.
Oh God.
Puke poltergeist.
Yeah, she pukes out a poltergeist and tells her, "Hey, go to the tree from the beginning of the movie. That's where her blood is stored. The blood witch's blood is in the tree." as it always with the craziest, monsters and most evil things, is like bringing the world back to nature and making nature run the world again. So she had her blood in the tree from the beginning of the movie.
Well, yeah. Well, when she died near that tree, all of her blood hid in there pretty much. When she died, not really.
Now she's assembled again, her blood. She needs to get her blood to get her power back. They take a helicopter, go there. When they land, there's zombies. She's starting to get some of her power back. So now there's zombies that are all buried there that start going after her or going after the team. And you find out Alice learns that she can punch souls out of people.
Ghost punch.
Yeah.
The one guy's like, "Where'd you learn that?" She's like, "I just did." It's like, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, has she ever punched a weird zombie ghost before? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time you ever saw one? Never.
Yeah.
But they do this thing where she's trying to get Hellboy to join her and see that no, they want to use you for evil. They want to use you to kill our kind. We want you to join with me. And there is a love thing kind of. I think if they had a second movie, it would be about those. I think it is in the comics. Those two fall in love. There's a whole love story with them. And it's also way different, her whole story arc. But so they kind of fall in love, or he wants them to fall in love, or they have this kind of thing back and forth. He's drawn to her, but she keeps on basically making him think about hey, you're actually different. You're going to do terrible things. And it kind of plants a seed of doubt in his head of what he's doing and who his friends are and that type of thing.
But yeah, again, someone's saying, "Hey, you're bringing about something bad."
Yes.
And they keep alluding to this. Bad. But when they show this vision he has, I can't remember when in the movie this happens. This vision he has where he's riding on a
when he grabs Excalibur.
Okay, all right, never mind. We'll keep going then.
So they stab her, and then she stabs her with this thing in her neck. The three witches that were there, Nimue kills two of them and leaves the one alive to serve her, basically, who were there at the beginning of the movie.
That witch death was brutal, where she basically just gets crunched.
Yeah.
It's slowly breaking their bones and shit. It was gnarly.
Again, it's another plot hole thing where they leave one of them alive just conveniently enough.
Well, that was the one who apparently turned on her at the beginning of the movie with it's she helped Merlin and
yeah, but then why did she leave her alive?
You get to live. You betrayed me.
to make her watch her friends die. But then she does kill her.
She does, because she tells Hellboy how to get to save her.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah. She tells Hellboy where to go find Merlin to save the girl.
Yeah, then that was dumb then.
Yeah. To save Alice. Yeah. So Nimue gets her blood out of the tree. She leaves for some reason. I can't remember what happens.
She needed groceries, I think.
Yeah.
All the monsters left.
Yeah, they all leave.
Refill gas in your car.
Hellboy does something.
And at this point, if you're viewing the film as well, you're probably feeling about the same way.
This is the montage scene where they're traversing to Merlin's, basically.
Oh, he shoots her eye out, I think.
Yeah.
Shoot your eye out.
And then she teleports away.
All the goblins and her creatures start running away.
Yeah. So he stabs her because she doesn't want to kill Hellboy. She wants to get him on her. She needs him because he's going to be the apocalypse. So the one witch runs away and hides. She comes back out and says, "Here's how you save her. Go find Merlin," which is somewhere far, far away. You find out Merlin's just been hanging out on her in a grave for this entire time, and he saves Alice, and he's basically "Hey, boy, you have to take the sword and kill Nimue again." And he's like, "No, I don't want to." When he touches the sword, he sees a vision of him riding a dragon and killing humans, and basically England's a big hellscape.
It's awesome.
That wasn't enough for me. That wasn't enough big enough payoff for everyone being "Hey, you're the reason why the world ends." That it looked cool, but it didn't seem justified. It could have been done differently, I think.
It does have a metal score where he's running off the back of the dragon.
It looks sick. I thought it was
he's
sweet.
Just slaughtering people with
it
a
looks
sword.
cool, but everyone's just "You're the reason why the world ends." He keeps getting told that, but there's not enough explanation here as to why he is who he is.
Would turn.
Yeah, right.
But they do go into that. They show how he's born, who he is at the end. They kind of allude to it. It's not a good explanation. But anyway, Nimue teleports away. They go to Merlin. She's then seen just walking through the streets of England or London, just, killing everybody.
Yeah.
With her spell or plague.
Also pretty cool and gruesome.
Yeah, like some of those big monsters that come out, man, are awesome.
So that's not yet.
All the visuals and all the gore, just nailing it.
The gore is sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and it's rated R, which is
there's a lot of vulgar like swearing in this too that wasn't in the first couple movies.
And this is kind of like you get to the end scene of the movie, which is like this is like almost like the end of the movie now at this point.
It's getting close to it, yeah.
You're about like one I was gonna say one beat off, but
yeah, it is a 2-hour movie. There's like about a half hour left, I think. But basically, Nimue comes and kills everybody in the BPRD that's hidden underneath the ground, including Hellboy. Hellboy's dad is not there. He's taken to the cathedral. And this is where you finally have a showdown between Grom, or Grugrok, and Hellboy, Alice, and Damio.
And he's been like buffed up by the Blood Queen. He's like huge now.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah.
Super Grum.
She keeps on saying like, hey, you're supposed to make me a human. And he's like, no. She's like, no, I still need you. She's like, you need to get Hellboy on my side. I need him. That's why they go after his dad. They take his dad, Hellboy's dad, and they're going to use him to get to Hellboy. Oh, I forgot to mention that when Hellboy touched the sword, Excalibur, he sees like that terrible vision and he lets it go, and then Merlin's like, hey, I used all my power to get that thing out, and the sword disappears.
Yeah, he's like, now it's back with Arthur again.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm glad I don't get to see how this turns out. He just dies.
Yeah, he just evaporates.
Yeah, he like falls apart. It's sweet.
Screams into oblivion.
It's like in the Indiana Jones movie we watched.
Yep. He chose poorly.
Yeah.
He's a pud.
Speaking of Merlin, does anyone remember that TV show?
Wait a minute. Was it on USA?
It had the guy who plays Alan Grant was Merlin. I forget his name.
Oh, Sam Neill?
I guess. I forget his name. I don't know.
It's Alan Grant, so.
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's about Merlin just being a wizard. It's real.
Casting spells
in modern
stuff.
times. Is like
I don't think it was modern times.
Because like there's like the Headless Horseman TV show on Fox that was like Ichabod Crane or something. It was like modern times, just like hanging out solving mysteries like a
Oh man.
Jack.
There's like another Merlin TV show? No, this is not.
I'm sure. It's like Xena Warrior Princess.
They're like Hercules, yeah.
Yeah.
TV miniseries, 1998.
Kevin
Kevin
Sorbo.
Sorbo.
1998.
1998.
Where are we at?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we're at the cathedral. Alice, Hellboy, Damio are fighting Grom. Grom is still like hellbent on killing Hellboy for, taking away his life, his human form.
Screwed him over, yep.
Yeah. They kill Grom because Damio turns into the Panther. He gets crushed under a rock, so he has to turn into this Panther monster and starts fighting Grom with Hellboy.
He says it's morphin time, and then he becomes a panther.
but then he gets knocked around like a little punk.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Doesn't do anything.
Which is totally anticlimactic.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a panther, I'm dead.
Even less anticlimactic is whenever Nimue comes in and just kills Grom, makes him a little baby to try to seduce Hellboy and be like, look, I'm trying to help you, because he was about to kill Hellboy, I guess the idea was. It's fair to mention, like, Hellboy has like Wolverine powers. He can restore easily. He like restores himself easily.
Healing factor.
Yeah.
She was also presenting herself as like his queen, or like a desirable figure to him,
because she knows that he can bring apart the apocalypse, and she needs him for that.
She needs his power, right?
Right. And she also knows that he can wield Excalibur, because this is where you find out that Excalibur can only be wielded by someone who is part of the King Arthur lineage. And Hellboy, you find out, is part of the King Arthur lineage.
That's right.
Because King Arthur's daughter or daughter's daughter gets taken to hell and gets, impregnated by a demon.
You know.
Well, how
didn't
it goes,
they painted it like
it was consensual.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
The way you said it made it sound not consensual, Chris.
Yeah.
Well,
She got
it's hell.
down there.
It's a demon, so you never know.
What are you trying to say, Chris?
So she gets taken to hell alive, and he's the son of a human living human and a demon. So he's a cross between.
Which is why he's so special.
He realizes what his like purpose is, and he like for some reason she just seduces him. It's really stupid. They don't really explain why. He's like, okay, I'm gonna take the sword and then start acting like the monster that I'm supposed to be or whatever.
Well, she kills his dad.
Yeah.
And he gets mad.
Is that what
he
it's
gets
about?
banished? Yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, like right before when the images of her, like she started presenting herself as like this desirable person to him, he mentioned something in passing real quick, like, let's not be so soon to judge, guys, or something like that. I was just like, what? Like, really? You're going to throw that line in? Ugh, just rough.
Okay, so he takes the sword, the Excalibur out after her dad. She kills his dad.
Yeah, that was the catalyst. She tried to get him to do it, and he was like kind of tempted, but then he was like, "No, I'm not doing it." And then she pulls him over, and she gives him. She
realizes.
She gives him the old fingernail slit.
That's right. And this is whenever he pulls the sword out, you get all these like really cool scenes of these like monsters, like demons coming out of the earth.
Yeah.
The one where the guy, like the first one where the guy like grabs the human and like rips him down his sword.
There's some brutal, like,
and he like then
whoa.
throws up and cuts it. Yeah, it's super, super brutal. Like they're all crazy, really well like animated, kind of like the what's that guy from was it Silent
Hill? Pyramid Head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew you were
it gives
going
me that
there.
feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
He like, rips the skin off and holds it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say that the CG in this movie is mostly pretty good, but there's a couple parts where you're like, ooh, I don't know about that.
Well, again, $50 million isn't going to get you that much.
Yeah. Well, now that I know it was that much, I'm like even more impressed.
We'll see how it looks compared to that new one coming out.
Well, so not to get off track, but I heard the new one is very like boring, a lot more talking than action.
It's very condensed.
Detective story.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's more like him just figuring out stuff and then, oh, now I got to shoot a thing. So
So he pulls the sword out. He's now holding the flaming sword from the visions with his crown. His full horns are grown. Nimue comes up and she's like, hey, now we can join forces or be in love. And Alice then uses this time to get his dad's soul and kind of does the puke spirit again.
It's spirit puking time.
The throat spirit.
It's time to
throat ghost.
It's time to
throat ghost.
Jesus Christ.
Throat ghost.
Throat a ghost.
Also, when he gets his horns back and he's like got like a fire crown in the middle. It looks sick when he pulls the sword.
That does look cool.
And the fire sword and stuff.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, and you get this thing where his dad does the throat ghost again, and is like, hey, you gotta stop being a turd, be normal. You're my son, and I never thought you were a demon. I raised you as a human or as my son. And so it's like a heart touching moment. Nimue is trying to be like, no, listen to me, be my boo. Be with me.
My boo.
Yeah.
My ghost, my throat ghost.
Yeah.
Be my throat ghost.
Hellboy then, because of his dad, the idea is behind his dad, Alice brought his dad out. He chops Nimue's head off again, uses the sword. When he does that, all the demons in the real world start dying and going back to hell. He then uses the sword to open up hell and throw her head into hell this time. I think he rips off his horns in the traditional fashion. Or maybe they just fall off again.
Nah, he rips them off. He breaks them.
He then talks to his dad. Alice, saves the day, basically. Again, she's like the thing that makes this whole story work. And then we just cut to them like doing some like cleanup missions where they're like, now they're a team of 3. She has all of a sudden like this SWAT team member where she's like using a gun, punching and kicking crap, and they're just killing guys. And it's kind of after the story where it's kind of like the continuation of their team.
6 months,
They're still teamed
months
up
later.
They're buddies. Also, the music during this part and throughout the film, horrible. Especially when you had Danny Elfman on the previous, guess 2. I know he did at least 2, but man, the music was not good in this.
It didn't fit. Like, I knew the one band. There was one song from that band, Royal Blood, I liked, but it was like when they were like prepping in a bunch of trucks or something. It just didn't fit.
Wait, was this the Kickstart My Heart? Did they use that song?
They did. That's at the very end.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also mention another group of people when the 3 of them are raiding some facility. It's like the Atlantis or something like that.
Yeah, Atlantis Society, I think is what they call it.
Yeah. So is that like the same kind of thing as Osiris?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, well, that's where Abe's at.
Yeah,
Abe Sapien. Yeah, so this is basically they're showing like Abe coming up.
Also, I think it's hilarious that when Alice is fighting, she's like punching. She's like punching. Yeah, she's a bad. but also she's doing like martial arts, and then she ends it by shooting them. Like, you could have just shot them.
Yeah,
it's the finisher.
It's just like, yeah, it is. You're doing combos on guys.
But they just whole setup. They just whole setup. I'm sure it wasn't a cheap scene to shoot. It's like that must be like, oh, we're trying to set up a
new franchise.
They're definitely trying to
like,
set up.
Oh,
a
this
sequel.
no, Abe's here. Don't worry, everybody, he's here. But then they have an after credit scene, which is Koshi the Immortal, as we mentioned in the beginning, talking to the Baba Yaga, which probably would have been a good scene, a good movie if they could get it pulled off. But
wait a minute.
Before that was the lobster guy.
Johnson scene.
Yeah. One of the best scenes.
Mid-credits scene.
It's mid-credits.
Cemetery. Hellboy's in the cemetery, his dad's gravesite. Lobster Johnson shows up.
Oh, Chris skipped it.
I don't think I see that. Yeah, I didn't think I seen that. What's he say?
It's actually pretty funny.
He went up to pee. He got up to pee.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty funny. He's like, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan." Blah blah blah. I'm sure you hear this all the time. Oh my god! And he asks, he's like, "I want to see like the glowing claw in his hand." And then he's like, "A ghost, obviously." I forget exactly what was said, but it was pretty funny. It was a good scene.
Didn't see it until now. But
And
the Baba Yaga shows up.
Yeah.
That scene's pretty good because you hear the guy talking. Again,
so who's
another
that guy, the Immortal, or whatever his name is,
Koshi the Immortal, I think is how you say it.
Okay.
And I may be pronouncing those wrong because again, I'm reading them when I was reading them. And they don't actually say his name, but it's alluded to. That's who it is. So that is the end of 2019's Hellboy. Maybe won't get a sequel on that one to continue that story, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you felt about it. So now I want to go around and get your feedback on this movie. Jordan, you want to go first with this one?
Sure. So the bar was set very low for me based on the reviews I saw, or just like the overall like feed talk about this or lack thereof. But because of that, I was like, oh, maybe it'll be good. Maybe like pleasant surprise because I like David Harbour, obviously because of Stranger Things. I like the what's his name, Ian McShane, because of all he's like even though it's like this 2 episodes of Game of Thrones he's in, I was like, this guy is fantastic.
Oh,
man.
that's right. I forgot he was in.
Toward the end, he was. Yeah.
And John Wick movies, American Gods, he's great in that. So yeah, I was like, okay, maybe because of these 2 actors, they'll kind of pull this movie. And I think they both did great. I think David Harbour was perfect. Like, I think he's perfect as Hellboy. There's time, and I think visually, like, they did a really good job with it. I think it looked, I don't know if this is on purpose or just like, this is the way it goes. It looked a lot too much similar to the Guillermo del Toro movies visually. It's at times like some of the character design, but I don't know if that's because that in turn was based on the comic books. So I don't know if they're like trying to get you like invested in this because it does have a similarity, even though it's not the same people making it. So I don't know if that was like kind of a ploy on their part. I do think they try to do too much. I had no idea they were trying to fit all these like different storylines from different like arcs, comic book arcs, but it does make sense because Brian, you brought this up earlier as far as with that girl. She's like, yeah, you knew me as a baby and you saved me. I owe you one. That was it. Until they kind of do it.
I had to think back and I'm like, was this in the first 2 movies?
Yes,
I don't
same
remember
thing.
this at all.
And I was like, oh, what was that? And then the same thing with that guy who had like who went on the mission in the South American jungle where he's like, oh, I was hunting a man-eater. Like that had to have been something else too. And like that kind of seemed, I don't want to say throwaway kind of stuff, but any one of these plot lines could have been a totally separate movie and would have been awesome, I think. So I don't think the acting was bad. I just think they just try to do too much in one single 2-hour movie. Like either do multiple movies, make it a miniseries, or make it even longer, which is crazy as a movie, but I don't know if they could still cram all those plot points into a longer movie. So I'm not, but without saying what I give it, that's what I'm going to say right there.
Jeff, what about you? What do you have to say about Hellboy?
So yeah, kind of like Jordan, I heard this, I heard it was critically a failure. So I didn't, and it was surprising to me because of, the caliber of some of the actors like David Harbour and, Ian, whatever his name is.
McShane.
Yeah.
McShane.
Ian, what's his face?
I don't know his name, but I know his face. All right. But I will say some of the actors were not great. I mean, they could have been better. So there was like this weird, like, wow, these guys are doing great. And then like, oh, these guys are kind of all right. So like there was that. The gore and the action scenes were all awesome. Like, very cool. If you're just trying to see like a comic book movie that's gory and punching stuff and killing things, then there's a good amount of that in this. So that part, thumbs up for sure. Even though some of the CG was a little iffy, it was still really well done for like 90% of it, 95% of it. I think there were a lot of really cool and interesting things happening, but like everyone else was kind of saying, I just don't think enough of them got fleshed out enough. Like, there's just too much happening. And I think maybe, he was trying to like have these callbacks for fans of the comic like you, Chris, who've like read it all. I haven't read it. I mean, I like Hellboy. He's cool. Like, I know kind of a lot of stuff, like I said, just through my brother-in-law liking it a lot, but I haven't actually sat down and read it. I want to. I actually should. But yeah, I think they just needed to pick a lane and stick to it. And it just kind of, when they did do that, when parts were a little slower and we were building some character, I thought that was when, like, it was like, oh man, we could have had something special here. And it just, there's just too much happening.
Yes, I agree in some cases. But Brian, how about you go next?
Sure. I think this movie is one of those films. It's like, obviously it's based on comic and there's all this source material. So you want to appease to the fans, but you also have to appease to people that don't know the comic and things like that, or at least you should. And I didn't see too much of that here. It's like, they did try to build a story arc that went overall, like, from start to finish, we have to get to this villain or whatever, but hitting all these different stories and references in between, it just kind of threw it off for me. I don't know. I again, echoing what Jeff said, like the action sequences, most of the CG, the character design, the gore, all that stuff was super cool. But just the pacing and the writing of some of the story, it just didn't. I was sitting there laughing to myself, like how much I was enjoying the action sequences, and as soon as they were over, I was like, what is this writing that's happening? It's just like, so it just like, it was making me laugh because I was entertained by it, but I was also confused by the pacing of it. So that's really what I thought of it.
I was just looking this up that there was supposed to be a sequel to the Golden Army, the Guillermo del Toro movies. And I guess in 2019, so that was 2009 was when it was in development.
Yeah.
And it was canceled in 2017, I guess, due to funding. And it had, I didn't know that it had Liz, who's not in this movie. She was in the other movies. It was a silly thing, but because she's like, oh, she's fire, and that way she can, be in love with Hellboy. But anyway, they had kids, which is also a little weird. I don't remember.
Was she in the comics, Chris? Do you know?
Liz, she is in the comics, but I don't remember them getting together. I have to go back and look at that. But in 2019, Ron Perlman said he would still love to do the trilogy with Del Toro, but he also at that time was ignoring that the reboot even happened at that point. So,
for good reason.
Yeah. So for me, this feedback for this movie, I think again, there's too much crap going on. I don't even think, like, as someone who was a fan of all this stuff, all the comic books and stories, there was things in there that I recognized, but also there's some stuff that was just like, oh, that's really interesting, but you just glossed right through it. Like, it just totally destroyed that storyline. I think for most people that are super fans would be like actually angry about this, because like the Cyrus storyline and like the Cyrus Club and the whole the Wild Hunt with the Giants and everything in England, that's a whole really good story arc that's like not just completely glossed over. And yeah, and even just like it even sets it up that it can never be told in a sequel if they ever went back to it, because they killed all the guys.
They already closed it. They closed that.
Yeah, in the seer and everything. Yeah. So, I don't know. I guess that type of thing is just they were trying to throw everything together. You could tell that the runtime is 2 hours and that they did a lot of stuff in that 2 hours. But there also was, like, if one of you mentioned, there's a lot of downtime in some parts that was just like kind of boring. I don't know. I kind of lost interest halfway through. I was just like, come on, just let's see what happens here.
Yeah, it was hard to pay attention on some parts for sure.
Yeah. So, all in all, I liked the character, the actors. A lot of the actors are really well done. but I did not think the story was put together or paced very well at all. The CGI, everything was really good. Although you can see, as Jeff said, especially towards the end, you can see some of the CGI kind of like not hidden so well within the
you see like
shots.
the really harsh like outlines and stuff.
Yeah,
on some things, but hey, it is what it is.
Right. Was this developed? Was it during the time when there was a lot of people like on strike, like this special effects people on strike at that time?
Oh, I don't know, maybe
mid 2000s or something like that going on.
I'll say for the budget, the special effects are definitely like very impressive. Like the practical stuff was awesome all around, and most of the CG was good. So
I don't know how long it would take him to get ready for his like David Harbour to get ready.
Hader.
Yeah. I don't know how long it took for him to get his costume on or his like, in makeup and everything, but it seems insane.
So much time, yeah.
I was thinking about the next movie we're doing because
oh
man,
it's the complete opposite of how long it took him to get ready. Anyway,
a lot of people.
So I think in all, I was not very impressed with it other than the action. I thought that I would like the story and I would hate the actors, and it was completely flipped for the most part. Except for Damio, that was just bad.
Yeah, he just wasn't interested.
No. Because there was a whole other subplot we didn't even talk about where he had a special bullet to kill Hellboy.
Oh, yeah.
This was like, I ain't using it.
And in the end, he ignored it, yeah.
Yeah, he like broke it like real...
He's like, you earned my trust, Hellboy. He didn't actually say that, but we knew.
Right in front of Alice, and she's like, what was that?
I mean, that would have probably killed anything you ran into.
I was saying the same thing. Yeah, use that on what's her name.
Yeah.
It's a bullet.
He could have used it on Grom.
Yeah. Dumb.
All right, let's go around and give our rating for Hellboy. To be specific, the 2019 version. Jordan, do you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Here, this is what sucks, man, because I've been, ever since watching this, I watched this with my partner Kelly, I've been on the fence because there's no, rating system. It's just thumbs up or thumbs down. So I honestly have been on the fence this whole time, even until I keep going back and forth, even until right now. So as of right now, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I've been going back and forth.
I was going to say, I think we should point out, like, our rating system that we have is just supposed to be something that we suggest it or we don't suggest it based on our personal feelings. So maybe you might like all the movies Brian pitches and gives thumbs up. So that way you know that if Brian suggests a movie, I'm going to watch it. Or if he says a thumbs up on a movie on our website, we're going to have a database of them. Then maybe follow Brian's thumbs ups, and that's how you can see if those are movies you're going to like.
So I will say this makes me not want to necessarily watch it again. It honestly makes me want to go watch the previous two. Yeah.
Yeah.
just like the Dragon Ball movie we watched, like it makes me, I didn't like the movie, but made me want to go watch Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff again. But I do like the character of Hellboy. I think unlike Chris, I didn't read the comics, but I did think, based on what I've seen, they did do justice to Hellboy himself as a character. I think he's a neat character. I like the idea of the paranormal. I like the idea of this paranormal organization that's like protecting humanity. Who's like that fine line. They even say this, we're the line in the sand.
Oh.
And I like that Hellboy's like, he's like, it's sand. You could always create a new line. I did think there's some good humor in this movie. I like that they, as regards again to Hellboy, like he's this character who doesn't seem like he belongs anywhere, which I kind of like, but ultimately makes the right decision for better or for worse. I think David Harbour did a good job at acting as him, like Ian McShane, although I like the guy I think the actor who played his dad in the other movies better. I think he did a better job, but I still think this character, Ian McShane, did a really good job. If it wasn't for those two characters, like I would have been like, this movie sucked. But I think there was some good humor. The action was good. It was good action scenes. The gore was good. But again, I will say this: the multiple plot lines they're trying to shove into one movie is like that. Would really that's what dragged it down. Dragged it down. Drove it down.
Smashed it down.
Smash it down. Yeah. Because again, there you go. I'm going thumbs up as of right now. I'm sure this will change, some other time down the road.
Jeff, what do you say about Hellboy.
You know what? I'm the same as Jordan. I'm on the fence as well. Like, there were some very cool things in this. All the action was cool. I really loved the scene with Baba Yaga. I thought it was so cool, and I thought Baba Yaga was such an interesting character. But just like the writing and the pacing, and just like the decisions made by people outside of like the actors and the people who did the special effects and all that, like. The people who ruined this were the writers, unfortunately, and I truly feel for David Harbour, because I saw an article that he keeps a picture of this Hellboy, like, I don't know, somewhere in his house. He's like, just to keep me grounded. If I'm ever feeling too good about myself, I look at this and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, you did great as Hellboy. I personally thought he did awesome as Hellboy, and I would have loved to see him be in a better directed and written one for sure. Same with some of the other characters. This is where it's tough, because I'm thinking back on other movies, and like, I didn't particularly love Crank 2, but I gave it a thumbs up.
Every one of these should be on their own merit. Just
okay.
What
did I? Yeah, I don't remember if I did Crank a thumbs up.
Don't think about that. Just give it a thumbs up, thumbs down.
See, and I'm like, did I like this more than Crank? And I'm like, well, maybe.
These aren't rated against each other. We're not.
I know, but I'm trying to make way. This is my.
There's got to be some kind of like.
Yeah, this is how
rubric.
He has to define it.
Yeah. So I gave Crank a thumbs up, a very reluctant thumbs up. So I'm going to give this a very reluctant thumbs down, I think.
Okay. No, and again, like, every movie should be on its own. We shouldn't consider it against other things.
This is the kind of movie I would put on in the background, and when the cool scenes come on, I'd pay attention, and then when they're done, I'd like go make dinner or something.
When you're like run the vacuum,
Yeah. Like, oh, cool, he's fighting the giants. I'm gonna pause for a minute here and watch this. Yeah.
Brian, what about you?
I mean, they pretty much summed up everything, every problem I have with the movie. It's like the action sequences are great, the CG is great, the characters themselves, like the source material is great, and I know they strayed away from like the comic. They made him more like wisecracking with his jokes and things like that. But as a character in this movie, Hellboy himself is entertaining. It's just that, like, the story arc that they formed around him just doesn't make much sense. It's just like, it's a hodgepodge of like the best of Hellboy, and it just didn't make sense to me. And yeah, I had to think of it like in terms of rating it, like, would I ever watch this again? And it's no, I don't think I ever would. It's a one and done. I didn't hate it, but it was a popcorn movie. It is what it is. So I had.
Would you suggest someone else watching it though?
I would say, well, by itself, no. So that's probably why I would give it a thumbs down. If you were a fan of the first two movies and you're really like, I wouldn't even say a hardcore Hellboy fan. If you're just like a fan of the first two movies, it's worth a look. If you like the lore a little bit, they change up a few things compared to the movies and everything, or the first two anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's just not worth another viewing.
So I'm gonna have to agree with Brian in that fact that it's not worth another viewing. As someone who is a fan of Hellboy, I would say just go watch the first two movies again, because they're way better, even though they're not connected to the Hellboy universe in the way that they're written and everything. But they're super interesting. And I would also agree with Jeff, in the way that the whole thing is put together. It's just I like the scenes. The action scenes are really good. Like the whole fight with the giants, even though it was really short. The whole scene with like the demons and everything. The fight with Grom, I think those were really awesome. But again, I can't recommend it. I will also give it a thumbs down. And also, I'm going to do a live reaction here of my view of the Crooked Man poster.
You gotta watch the trailer.
Hold on. Hellboy looks like
yeah, he does not look good.
He looks like a bad combination of the second movie and the first movie.
He looks like Hell Guy.
He looks like a Halloween costume, like someone's just cosplaying.
It looks like this is like a movie from the 90s. This is terrible.
I mean,
this is awful.
Isn't that when the comic book came out though?
Yeah, but like the character himself looks like he's from the 90s. Like they didn't spend any time putting makeup on him. They just kind of shot him in the face with red paint and was like, "Here you go, dog."
Who's the actor in that, anyways?
I didn't know. I looked him up, but I didn't know him. Jack Kessie?
Yeah, who's
Etsy? the creator of Etsy, Jack Etsy.
Owner of
Who was this
Etsy.
guy?
Jacqueline Etsy.
He was on the
Etsy.
Strain. The hell?
Oh, that TV show.
Oh, that was
That's a
that
Guillermo
was
del
like
Toro show.
Yeah, there you go. It all comes around.
He played Black Tom Cassidy in Deadpool 2, 2018.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
He just looks like a guy at a convention.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he just looks
Cosplayer.
like some guy with shaved head. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Watch Pals. Next week, we have Brian's pick. And Brian, what are you picking?
Well, I had to pick, guys, I like the weird ones. But like this is definitely a weird one, but it's also a very humorous film. And so I made Jeff watch this once at my house, and I fell asleep, and he finished the film. Isn't that how this went, Jeff?
Yeah. This is
Finished you off, huh?
This is gonna be the first time I watched this movie sober, so that's gonna be something. Because the first
Very
time I watched
sobering.
it, over Brian's, I loved it, but I was pretty ham boned. So, and I didn't remember a lot of it. It was a long day that day, and
Yes.
it was the perfect movie while drunk. So we'll see how I react not drunk. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was saying, as with your other movies, how much dong are we talking? How many dongs are we going to see?
There's actually not much dong hanging in this film, but there is plenty of weird
Sophistication.
visuals and jokes. So from Bill and Ted fame of the 90s films, we have Bill.
Keanu Reeves. Oh.
Well, he's all Keanu may also be in this movie. I don't know. But this is the movie he made right after Bogus Journey, I think, and it is called Freaked. So
Freaked.
also Freaked as ED.
So next week, we're going to be watching Freaked. If you would like to partake.
It's on YouTube for free, I think.
Yeah, somewhere.
Perfect. That really sets up something great.
So I was thinking at the very end of the episode, before we do a little sign off, should we do something called Around the Watch, where you get one final recap of what we gave the movie.
What movie?
The movie we just watched.
Oh, you mean the thing we just did?
Yeah, just
did
like,
we give it thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, I know, but like we did this big long explanation so that we do like a quick summary of like, hey, I gave a thumbs up, you gave a thumbs down, like Around the Watch, because we're like, at least on the screen we're all
Around a watch. Let's watch Around the Watch.
What watches you want to talk about?
So hold on.
But it looks like, at least on the screen, it looks like, you do like Around the Watch.
Yeah, you're doing like Around the Horn. I see what
play,
you're saying.
a play on
yeah.
words with Watch Pals.
It's you're like 6:30 and Jeff's like 12:12 or whatever.
I'm around like 1:30 or 2.
Okay, so let's go. Jordan, you gave it a what?
Thumbs up.
Jeff gave it a
Down.
Brian gave it a
Down!
Oh, you cut out.
He said down. everybody. and I gave it a down as well. I gave her a down. So the Hellboy 2019 is 1 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down for the Watch Pals. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a comment on the podcast platform of your choice. Please connect with us on social media. All of those links can be found in our show notes down below. They also can be found on our website, that is watchpals.show. If you have any questions or suggestions for a future movie, please send us an email at watchpalsshow@gmail.com. Again, all this stuff is on the website and the show notes below. And I think that's all. We want to thank Ben Miller for our artwork, which is a link down in the show notes to his Instagram page. He's an amazing artist. Our logo artwork done by Ben Miller. Thank you all for being here again. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. I also helped with the logo.
Wasn't going to get to that. The original artwork was done by Ben Miller. Other artwork done by Jeff. Our designs done by Jeff.
Hey, here we go.
By Jeff, who used AI.
No, I'll kill you.
Sole focus. Don't believe anything he says.
I would just like to go on record that I am the only force here against AI.
That was actually an AI voice that he programmed on.
I'm keeping us legitimate here for your pleasure.
Jordan, thank you for being here.
Thank you, AI.
Thank you all out there in Watchland. Till next time.
Watchland, I like it.
Set your watches for the next episode of Watch Pals. We'll see you next week. Good night.
See you, watchers.
Peace.
Kick rocks.
Go suck an egg.
And
And yeah. Stop.